Hey, what's up? I just got back from the gym and I want to capture a couple of really cool thoughts. So I'm learning Italian right now. It's one of the languages that I'm very passionate about. And one of the methods that I've talked about a bit in this channel and that I really believe in is to learn a language through immersing in the language, particularly digitally. I'm not talking about moving to that country necessarily. I'm talking more about, consuming a lot of content, watching lots of films, reading books, and, even music is pretty helpful. So something that I experienced today, and the reason why we wanted to record this is because I reread a book that I really like, but this time the translation in Italian. So rather than, re-listening, which is what I did because I listened to the audiobook of this book again in English, what I did, which was the original language, I did it in Italian, and it was such a cool experience. And yeah, I think it's the first book that I finished in Italian. And again, this is an audiobook. I know some people will say like, oh, that's not even reading, but I love audiobooks and that's my favorite way to consume books. And well, this book, in case you're familiar with it, because it's pretty popular, is called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson. If you know the title, you know what I mean, but like, I don't want to add beeps in the edit, so I'm just gonna say beep. So yeah, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep. Such an amazing book by Mark Manson, and I love it so much. And this time I was very lucky, and if you can find this, I highly recommend it, to be able to find the translation in the language that you're learning, in my case, Italian. So I found a translation in Italian of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep by Mark Manson, and I found that not only as the translated book, but also as an audiobook with a really good narration in Italian. And I mean, if you can find it again, if you can find a book, and hopefully you'll be able to find quite a few. Fiction has a lot, like for instance Harry Potter, something that I definitely would like later to do that, because right now I'm almost done with the whole saga. I'm in the last book in English of Harry Potter, and then I would love to revisit that in Italian, or ideally Greek if my Greek level is good enough. Those are the two languages that I'm learning, Italian and Greek. But yeah, I just wanted to share with you this really cool experience of being able to consume, or rather get lost. Like, this is the ideal point, right? In The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep in Italian, I re-listened to it while I was at the gym, pretty much exclusively while I was at the gym, through maybe a couple of weeks perhaps, and I just finished it today. And there's a couple of really cool advantages to rereading or re-listening to a book that you really love. And one of them is that first, like anything that you don't understand, either the context or your memories of the book will help you understand it better, right? And in that way, you're kind of unlocking meaning through other methods. You're making the content more comprehensible if you're familiar with comprehensible input, which again we can talk more about at some other point. But like, if you're familiar with that, that's what I mean, right? And yeah, no, like definitely rereading a book in the language, in the target language that you want to learn, it's such a great experience. And also, like, because that's a book I love so much, I managed to get lost in forgetting that it was even in Italian. Not at all times, obviously. I was aware that some of these things I still don't understand, but my comprehension, as I keep consuming more content in Italian, is getting better and better. So by now, like, I do manage to feel this sensation quite a bit with shows, films, and in this case an audiobook, of forgetting that's even in Italian. And sometimes you might be like, and well, I mean, that the thought that I'm trying to capture is that sometimes you might be like, oh, I'm not super aware of the language itself. It's kind of like if you really get into the story, if you really get into like whatever you're consuming, in this case an audiobook, and you kind of start forgetting, oh, this is in my target language, then you might want to bring your attention back and be like, no, try to analyze the words. But I'm here to advise you that it's better to let go, to just, if you can, like, I mean, this, I think, is the ideal point. If you can forget it's in another language, that's the best point you can have for learning that language, because that way is your subconscious mind doing the work. It's pretty much, language learning is pretty much an unconscious process. And if you just trust in the fact, right? If you trust in the fact, or at least the school of thought regarding language learning, that a language is acquired subconsciously, it is an unconscious process that just happens on the background, because your brain is a pattern recognizing machine. I'm sure there's better ways to say that, but you know what I mean, right? So your brain is recognizing the patterns, is grasping all this meaning that you get out of the story, out of the book, and is transforming it into mental entries of each word, each sentence, each phrase into meaning. And then the more you expose yourself to more of this language, to more different contexts where a particular word is used, or a particular sentence or phrase that, you know, like people say in that language, the more you expose yourself, the more you expose your brain to those environments where you can actually see other different contexts on how a particular word is used. Your brain is going to be able to recognize those patterns and turn that into meaning. And then as the more you do that, the more you listen and the more you understand, the higher your level of understanding is, you're gonna later be able to, almost as a consequence, be able to speak that language better because you have it all in your brain. And that's what happens with our native languages, or languages that are pretty proficient at. It's like you have meaning in your head, you have like something that you want to transmit whenever you're speaking, and then your mouth does the rest. You know, the better you're at the language, the more seamless that process is, but it is transforming thought into language. But in order for that to happen, you need to have a really powerful bank, or like you know, a huge storage of different words, different phrases, and different you know, things that natives would say in that language. And in order to do that, you really need to increase the amount of content that you consume in that language, because that's how you create those mental entries and that bank of meaning in the language, right? And I really, really believe, and the reason why I wanted to share this with you is because right now that I experienced that really cool feeling of listening to this audiobook and forgetting it was in Italian, that's when I really feel the brain is doing all of that heavy work of mapping out meaning in Italian in my head. And I think it's such a powerful thing to do. So I'm here to advise you that if you manage to get to that point, that is an ideal. It's not something you should avoid. If you start forgetting, oh wow, this thing is in Italian or whatever language you're learning, you might want to bring more conscious attentions to the words and the phrases. But yeah, don't do that. Just trust the process. Trust that your brain is a pattern recognition machine, and it's really powerful, and it's doing the work that must be done in order for you to understand what you want to understand, for you to be able to understand the language and parse it, and later be able to speak it, okay? So yeah, hopefully that is helpful, just something that I've been thinking about, and I just got it back home and I wanted to share. So let me know what you think of this topic. Let me know what your experience with this has been, if you felt this sensation of getting lost in the language. And with that said, I hope to see you in the next video. So see you soon. Bye.